I'm Natasha Chilingarian.
I'm Michael Ogden. This is Shared Accounts with CU Times. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about today as far as the interview goes, but whatever. It's our show. We do what we want. I have a question for Natasha and producer Zach, and it's probably just around my mood lately or whatever, but here's my question. Do either of you have any irrational fears? Do you want me to go first? Because I have one, and I
Yeah,
was
why don't you
thinking
go
about
ahead
it today.
while I think about it? Go
Okay,
ahead.
you guys think, because
Okay.
I think about this every time I put my car in reverse, like going in reverse. I have an irrational fear that I'm going in reverse, pulling out of a parking space, and I get hit by another car and I bite my tongue off.
Oh,
I am terrified of biting my tongue off while driving. And
That
I
is
make
unusual.
sure my
Well,
tongue stays behind
okay.
my teeth. You know, it's really stupid, but I do it every time.
so I was going to laugh at you, but then I realized I have really bad allergies that affect my eyes.
Yeah.
And so I'll scratch around my eyes when I'm driving. And I actually
Ew.
constantly think, oh God, what if I get hit? I'm going to be
Yeah.
blind. So
You're
I
gonna
can't,
yeah. Okay.
I can't make fun
That's
of
a
you for that.
good, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. That actually makes me think of a few things too while
Okay.
driving. So one will be like if I have a sneezing attack, and you know how you
Mhm.
have like you instinctively close your eyes when you sneeze.
Yeah.
It's that I'm going to get hit while I'm sneezing because my eyes are closed.
Mhm.
And then the other one is getting like a foot cramp, like a really bad cramp in your like the arch of your
Oh.
foot while driving,
Yeah.
and it's like you can't take your foot off the pedal and stop. You have to keep going, and then you're in like
Right.
that actually happened to me a few times,
Oh,
but
wow.
I just kept going because, you couldn't just like take your foot off.
Can you drive with the other foot? You ever try that?
No, that's
It's
too scary.
hard. Yeah,
That's
it's
like
hard.
something that was,
Yeah. Okay, so all right,
um,
I've laid out some driving things. Do you all have any like just dumb things you think about all the time?
I wouldn't say I think about it all the time, but
Mhm.
in terms of an irrational fear, I am terrified of people in mascot costumes.
Oh. Okay.
I do not like it. I've never liked it, even as a child, like meeting, the fake Scooby Doo in a costume.
Sure.
Never
Yeah.
wanted to do that, to where there was literally a time we were at a Cincinnati Reds game
Mhm.
and we're taking the elevator to leave, and it stopped, and Rosie the Red, who is one of their mascots, got on, and I literally backed into the corner and involuntarily
Oh.
shouted, "Oh no," so loud they turned around and looked at me.
Oh, no. How old were you?
This was like 3 years ago.
Okay. Sure.
okay.
I'm guessing that's not true. But may
No,
I ask?
no, it really was. I was in my 30s.
Oh, okay. Well, then God bless you for
Really?
letting us know this.
Okay, so that's a
'Cause
childhood fear but it started in childhood, this fear, and then
and it just manifested itself, like, even further.
Yeah, I just do not like them.
Okay. But I would have the similar reactions act to people who wear horse head masks. I can't take it.
It's kind of that slash a fear of clowns taken to its
Yeah.
logical extreme
Aw, I'm
conclusion.
sorry, Zach. That must be terrifying.
You don't have to be sorry. It's not that debilitating.
Well, sure, but
It's a 4 to 5
yeah.
times a year thing.
oh my God. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that.
I will say it's in the back of my head. If we take my daughter to Disney World,
Oh,
how am I going to do?
Oh,
right.
wow. Yeah. Well, and look,
Okay.
some of them I guess can be cute looking, but then there's some that are terrifying. And I'm also thinking about those, those old time photos of like kids seeing the Easter bunny, but it's
Oh,
like this
yes.
terrifying
Yeah.
bunny.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, how did they actually bring kids to sit with these types of characters that
You
were,
are
and I think at
right.
Disneyland too, like ever seen those? Like the
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
Disneyland photos, super creepy looking Mickey
Mhm.
Mouse, like,
Mhm.
looks like something out of a horror film.
Yeah.
Those actually bother me less. It's the soulless corporate,
Hmm.
just nothing behind
Ah,
the eyes, modern
interesting.
ones.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, thanks for sharing that, Zach.
Okay.
Natasha, do you have any?
Yeah, I did have something, granted, it's not as I don't wanna say silly or irrational, I guess. Maybe it is more rational, I don't know, but
Okay.
what comes to my mind first is ever since COVID, like, I have had a
Mhm.
much more heightened fear of germs and
Sure.
crowds.
Sure, sure.
That hasn't
Yeah.
gone away really quite yet.
Mhm.
So, that's just kinda, like, ingrained in my head, and And also, I think it's more like if I have something planned, like if I have a trip planned,
Yeah.
and then if I'm gonna be going out into public, going to the store or meeting up with people like a week before, I have a
Mhm.
fear like, "Oh, I'm gonna get sick and then it'll like ruin my plans and I have to cancel my
Yeah.
trip." That's like a fear that's always around. So, yeah,
It's a
I know.
legit fear. I mean, a
Yeah.
legit concern. I think you are not alone in that, you know?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't call it irrational.
Not at
Yeah, that's
all.
what yeah, it's not really irrational. I don't even have any, a lot of people fear spiders, like, I don't really care, a as long as they're
Mhm.
small. I will say there are and this was happened in my parents' house a few times
Yeah.
last year. There was, like, an infestation of these giant spiders, like, not like
Ugh.
Australia style huntsman
Right,
spider,
right.
but, like, I don't know, the size of, like, a silver dollar or bigger,
Gross,
maybe?
gross.
And those actually were horrible to have to kill, and I would kill them, but it was terrifying. But if it's something like the size of a coin or a quarter, like, I
Mhm.
don't care, I'll just kill it.
I hate every second of that, that what you're describing. But you know what?
It
I
depends on
just
the
now
size,
realized
yeah.
this is a question we need to revisit for the Halloween episode
I
this
think
year.
that's a good idea.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's start this episode though. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Shared Accounts with CU Times. Coming up, we are chatting with three Kevins: Kevin Miller, Kevin Doherty, Kevin Wright. They are CEO, COO, and CIO at Addition Financial Credit Union in the Orlando, Florida area. Now, this is a shared accounts first, where we have interviewed three executives from the same credit union C suite who all have the same first name. It was bananas, and we had a really good time with it. They were so fun. And we talked
Yeah.
a lot about their acquisition plans and how confusing it is with all three Kevins in the room. So stay tuned for that. It was really, really fun. First up, we do have to take our break from the week. Check in with Natasha. Hey, Ann,
Hey, Em.
how are you?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, not
Yeah,
too bad.
good.
Spring is here, I
It
suppose.
is.
Yeah,
It
hopefully it
kind of is here. It
holds.
keeps not, fully giving into it yet.
I gotcha, yeah. Well, you got it's like isn't it Mother's Day? That's like the barrier you
Yeah.
have to pass, and then there's no more cold weather,
Usually,
so
yeah, by Mother's Day, there's not a chance of another
mhm.
frost or freeze or snow. Not saying it hasn't happened, but that's usually the barometer right in
Well,
there.
fingers crossed it's earlier this year, so
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, what have you been watching?
yeah, so I was gonna bring up this was probably one of my favorite shows of the past recent years
Okay.
that I finally started on the 2nd season of Severance.
Oh,
So
right.
yeah, because I had canceled Apple TV. It's just like one of those streaming services that I don't it's not one of the regular ones that I watch,
Mhm.
so I can't justify, like, the cost, but I'll go back
Yeah.
to it when there's a specific show I wanna see,
Yep.
so I went on it was, like, $2.99 for 3 months.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was like, "Oh, that's a pretty good deal." So I signed up and I got through I think I am currently on episode 7 of the 2nd season of Severance. I am loving it. I mean, this was when I first watched it, and I also watched the 1st season, but, like, much later than when it had come out. I
Uh-huh.
believe it was 2022, like, May or June of 2022 when I watched it, the 1st season,
Okay.
and I watched it, like, 2 or 3 times, I believe. It's just one of those
Mhm.
I don't know, I just love the concept, there's, like, the sci-fi concept of it and
Yep.
the mind-bending
Mhm. It's a beautiful
nature. W
show. It's
yeah?
it
So
it's a
you've seen both, right? You say you've
Yep.
seen through the 2nd season?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't say anything about it, but I
Don't
did wanna ask because you just recently started watching it, like, just days ago, right?
just over this past weekend, yeah, so I had some free time, finally, I had
And
a
you've
couple
already gone through 7
makes me
episodes.
sound kinda lazy, huh?
No, 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 to me, having watched the whole season, that'd be too much for my brain. There's so much that goes on.
Right, and something else I'm doing is because there's all these accompanying podcasts. So I know
Yep.
there's at least 3 where they just, like,
Mhm.
dive into each episode.
Mhm.
So, what I'm also trying to do is in between episodes, listen to one of those podcast summaries so that I can make sure I fully understood
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happened and then go into the next one. So I
I would
also
recommend Prestige TV.
Okay,
That's a good
sure.
one.
Yeah, that one, I listened to that for The White Lotus. That's another one I finished,
Oh,
maybe save that
yeah,
for
that's
another
a
chat,
fun
but
right.
yeah, they kinda get into some theories and, kind of a not just a recap, but, like, to really analyze it, so yeah, it's
Yeah,
really fun. So yeah, that's
cool.
what I've been into, so yeah, please don't spoil the ending of
I'm
season
not
2
gonna
for
say
me,
a
but
word.
yeah, I'll say I'm enjoying this episode, or I mean, this season.
Mhm.
One thing about it that I think is the most fascinating is there's definitely more of a romance element in this season, which is kind of fun, and
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
with the whole concept of who are you
Mhm.
right now in your body? Are you this person or are you this person? Makes it even
Right.
more kind of intriguing, so
There are 2 episodes, one you haven't seen yet, and one you have, that were my favorite 2 episodes. One, and the first one was the camping outdoor episode, they're in the
yes.
snow.
Yep, I
That
saw
was a fun
that,
one, I
yeah.
like that one, and then you are coming up on a really, really good one.
Okay. Is that
So,
8?
I think it's 8,
8? Okay.
I think.
Alright. So, yes, that's lots of fun, and, yeah, at the
Well,
same time,
great.
I'm kinda like I didn't wanna get through the whole thing because then it's like, "Oh, now I don't have another one to look forward to. I wanna, like,
Sure.
do it pace
Right.
myself."
Well,
Anyway, so what about you? Any fun
uh,
watches you wanna bring
bu
up the
bu bu
past week?
fun, yes, good, questionable.
Okay.
One, I'll just bring up one, a movie been on my list for a while. I don't know why it was on my list, but it was. It's a movie called Excision from
Okay.
2012. It is a nuts movie about a
What's it about?
real angsty high school teenage girl. It's a horror movie-ish, but it's more messed up than horror, I would say. Like, just
Alright.
real trippy, what is your problem?
Okay.
And it's got a wild ending that
Oh, well, that's
is super dark and depressing and gross, but I kind of
so, can I
enjoyed it.
ask something else about that? So, Excision,
Please.
the title I've never heard of this movie. Is there something that's being excised, like,
Excised?
removed, or where does that come from?
You are correct, and I won't explain any
Okay. I
further
imagine
in
it's something
case.
gross is being is
Yes.
being sliced open at some point.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
She's nuts, but she's a great actor, plays the high school teenager. And also, Ariel Winters, she was, one of the daughters in Modern Family,
Okay.
that TV show. She's in the movie. It was good. I gave it, what did I give it? 3? 3 stars.
Okay. No, not a bad rating.
My
Yeah.
review was, I just made myself laugh because I forgot what I wrote. 3 stars. Oh, to be in high school again and be insane.
Okay.
Excision. Not bad. Pretty
Okay, might have
gross.
to check that out. It's giving me Carrie vibes,
Mm,
potentially, or maybe not.
mm, no. I mean, I understand how that's coming across probably, but no, she is just her own weird self. It's not her mom doing anything. Her mom's crazy, but it's crazy if you want a good nutbag watch of a movie.
Something to make you feel less insane if you're feeling particularly insane. How about that?
Exactly.
There we go. We
Correct.
all need those, so okay.
Yep.
Alright, well, let's move on to the fun that we had today
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
this interview. This was funny because I think we came up with the concept almost halfway as sort of a joke, but then it just
It
came
was a joke,
together.
yeah, but I
Yeah, it
loved
was a
it.
joke. But, we had a lot of fun with these with the 3 Kevins. I mean, just kinda getting a peek into, like, their dynamic together at
Yeah.
work
Mhm.
was fun. I wish I could have seen that, on camera. Of course, this is audio only, but
Right.
it was just really fun to witness that. We asked them actually just right off the top of the interview, how do you distinguish between each other at work? Do you have, like, nicknames for each other?
Yep,
And they sorta do. So,
they do.
that's something that will be revealed. Another funny comment just related to their names is
Yeah.
at one point, one of them said, "Oh, sometimes they go into a meeting deciding who's gonna be the good Kevin and who's gonna be the bad Kevin." Like,
I know. They do have a plan, folks. It's great.
it is awesome.
They're like a transformer in that way. They just kinda can piece each other together how they need. each other. It's really
Right,
cool.
exactly. They seem like a good team. So, yes, of course, we talk about the name Kevin a lot, but mostly
Mm,
we talk about their merger, like you mentioned earlier, Michael, with Envision Credit Union. They're
yep.
currently in the process of that. A couple things they mention are the integration of technology
Mhm.
that's involved, includes a lot of contract negotiation with vendors. So, get into that. They also get into how they're integrating the cultures of the two credit unions, which is a very, I think, important topic
Yeah.
whenever you go through a merger or acquisition.
Mhm.
And then finally, they talk a lot about their approach to communication with employees and with members, which has been very forthcoming and
Mhm.
transparent. So that is also another important element of a merger.
Yep.
We have all that coming up next. Joining us in the virtual studio today is Kevin Miller, Kevin Doherty, and Kevin Wright. They are CEO, COO, and CIO, respectively, for Addition Financial Credit Union in Orlando, Florida. Kevin M., Kevin D., and Kevin W., welcome to Shared Accounts.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we look forward to the
Absolutely.
conversation.
So I just have to point out for everyone here, we're kind of in uncharted territory right now, considering that we've never had three guests with the same first name on the podcast at the same time.
Right.
And we kind of, when we set this up, we were joking, we're like, should we have them all talk each in a different accent or how are we gonna? It's
Yeah.
just comical, right, Michael?
Sure. Yeah. Country Kevin, Southern Kevin, that'd be funny, but I don't know.
Just to make it more confusing, Kevin Wright and Kevin Miller are both
Yeah.
from the same part of Michigan, and we're both Kevin Scotts. So
Oh my gosh.
That's
Really?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and Kevin Wright doesn't like country, so country Kevin just doesn't. That's not right.
It's definitely not my style.
I like Kevin Wright. Well, what also makes this kind of doubly more interesting / chaotic is we're not on video. This is just we're only hearing each other's voices. So
yeah.
this is a fun challenge for us. I hope it's a fun time for the three of you, and I'm really happy that you all are on here because we've spoken with Natasha, 2 out of the 3 Kevins.
Right. Yeah.
2 out of 3
Yeah.
ain't bad, but I guess we got to figure out how do we want to address everyone here.
we've been working together for almost 20 years now, the three of us, and we generally go by last names, Miller, Wright, and Doc.
Ah, okay.
It's usually the easiest way to
Okay.
address us.
Miller, right?
It's funny when a new person in a meeting and you're called the CEO Miller, and they're kind of looking at you like, "Well, that's disrespectful." It's like, well, you call him Kevin, you don't know who's going to answer.
Right.
It's like when you
Exactly.
call your frat brother or something by the last name. I don't know. Okay, well that works. I was going to ask if you had any special nicknames, but that seems to work well.
Miller, right, Doc. Okay.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so, what we are really here to talk about today is Addition Financial is in the midst of a merger with Envision Credit Union. And we know that last month you all submitted your merger application with the NCUA and with Florida's Officer of Financial Regulation to go ahead and hopefully move forward with combining with this $842 million credit union Envision. So first, can we just maybe kind of do a check-in on that? Where does that stand right now in this process, and what's the next step for you all?
So this is Kevin Miller, and so far it's going really well. We've had a lot of interactions between the teams. Everything has been submitted with the regulators, as you said, and we seem to be hopefully on progress for everything to be completed as far as the legal merger and the membership vote by October 1. That's our goal at this point.
All right.
And then after October 1, what's the next set of dates?
This is Kevin Wright. The next major date would be May 31st, 2026. That's when we're going to go ahead and do the system conversion.
All right. Okay, so that lays out a really nice timeline. Thank you, Miller and Wright. But I want to back up a hair. When did you all first begin these conversations with Envision, with their leadership about merging, and what did those early conversations sound like?
Their CEO and I started to have some conversations a while ago just about some different visions with what a potential merger could look like, as far as they're not sure if they would want to do it, but if it was on the table, what would it look like? Because the two credit unions are so similar. Our histories both started by educators, both have similar paths we're trying to run down. And Envision was kind of going back and forth of they've grown a lot by being the party that's merged in other credit unions. So do they want to keep going down that road, or could they jump ahead by merging with us? And we kind of went down that road. And then The nice thing too is besides the relationship that Daryl and I have had, their CEO, that Daryl's also known Kevin Doherty for quite a number of years. So he
Mhm.
felt comfortable because he's known at least two of the three Kevins for a while.
And I think unbeknownst to me that I saw him at events and stuff like that. And, he was asking some questions about our credit union and what our culture looks like. And
Yeah.
I guess he was
Mhm.
doing some preliminary just to see, who we are. And he's a great guy. I mean, they were looking for a strategic partner and a growth
Sure.
partner that we could grow these credit unions together.
Sure.
Okay. So then once you all came to this agreement, like, okay, let's do this, let's move forward, can, I guess, one or all of you talk about what was kind of the overall intent behind this merger and the goal, kind of from a high level? What kind of benefits are you seeing coming from this?
Sure. This is Kevin Wright. So the biggest thing is to bring together two credit unions that have similar philosophies. We have staff members with similar cultures, and we want to be able to offer our members more, offer a better product, offer them more services. For Envision members, today they don't offer directly mortgages, for instance, but that's a product
Hmm.
that we have. So we'll be able to do that.
Okay.
So we want to be able to bring our culture and all of the things that make us great and all of the things that make Envision great together and just, again, make it a better product overall for the membership in Florida.
I think the teams is just continue to grow the culture. I mean, the retail team will be 37 branches, probably a little over 400 between the retail branches, high school branches,
Hmm.
and contact center. But, also growth. There's a lot of growth opportunities here in Orlando, and
Yep.
we're continue to grow here and continue to put branches in, but also to look into Tallahassee, which it's heavily banked, but we see the South Georgia market as a real opportunity for us to grow as an organization.
It just gives us a little bit of diversification too by having branches in two separate areas and
Yeah.
footprints spread out a little bit.
I mean,
Right.
we plan on running our contact centers. We'll run one contact center here and one in Tallahassee.
Hmm.
So it gives us some redundancy too. Is as hopefully we don't get both hit by hurricanes, but
Yeah. Yeah.
we are in Florida. But it gives us some redundancy there too. So we'll spread that in both markets.
Just kind of a follow up on that, and maybe this is for Doc and the operations, but what is appealing about South Georgia to you all? You really haven't had to deal with that.
Well, I mean, it's underbanked. I mean, there is just so much opportunity that the area is growing because everyone's moving into Florida, and it's that market is growing that
Mhm.
way. So I just think it gives us an opportunity, the growth and just build membership.
That's wonderful. I mean, South Georgia is a very interesting part of the country. I just hadn't thought of it how you all are looking at it right now. And I think this is very, very interesting. And I will say, to your hurricane point, I lived in Florida as a kid in the panhandle up there, and we often evacuated because we were scared little people up into southern Georgia because we didn't like dealing with hurricanes. That's where we always ran to. Like, we don't want to deal with this. We were very scared people. But I do want to ask, how do you all approach, kind of from an organization standpoint, communicating these plans to merge with your members and employees?
So we're very, very upfront and open on anything that we do. We always tell our staff, and we've been telling the Envision staff as well, that we don't have any great secrets here. We're not going to make our money any greener than anybody else. So we want everybody to know exactly what's going on at all times. So our marketing team and their marketing team have built out a very detailed communication plan. And if anything, our goal is let's over communicate each step as we go.
Okay.
But because of the time distance, we're a little bit more conscious of making sure that it's not just email communications or
Mm.
Teams communications, that it involves a lot of exchanging of people going back and forth. So we have a travel policy and procedure where we're tracking who's going back and forth, how often, making sure that when someone from one organization drives the 4 hours to the other organization, there's the people that they expect to be there. So the meetings are preset, everything's coordinated, and we have just as much interaction as we can in person back and forth. And the goal is this is not just a pre-merger thing, it's a
Hmm.
continuous thing. That'll be the cycle, is rotating people through back and forth so they can all get to know their teammates, their leadership. the rest of the organization. And then in between, we've got some things where we did a meeting in Jacksonville with the two senior teams, and we have a meeting with a significant portion of the managers coming up in Gainesville where we find halfway spots to meet as well.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that Kevin did is once the boards approved this, we did town halls in Tallahassee where they got to see some of the leadership team from us. And, it was really good. I mean, it allowed them to see who we are, ask us face-to-face questions. We could talk about Addition Financial and what we see and why the value of this merger is. But it also gave the ability to ask questions to us and to Kevin, the CEO.
And then we've had a little bit of video recordings where Daryl and I have, taken the most common questions that we've gotten. We've had our PR team quiz us, and then we've, answered the video questions back and forth to the two teams, but having us do it together so they can hear from both of us at the same time.
And then over the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of our back office teams reaching out and having video conferences with the corresponding team members on the other side so that they can start to get to know each other as well.
I have two follow-up questions kind of on this for opening up to the Kevins, but when you're doing these town halls, which I think is a brilliant idea, and I wish more organizations would do this, but what were some of the employee questions or concerns that they were throwing out to you all?
I mean, the first question that they ask is, is my job safe? And of course,
Sure.
I tell them it is. But a lot of questions on benefits, a lot of questions on service. They want to make sure that they're taken care of and they're very loyal about their members, so other members can be taken care of. So we went through, we answered anything that came up. I tell our teams, because we do a lot of, in-person interactions where, ask us anything. So we went through that, but then we followed it up with, okay, since you had so many questions on benefits, we answered everything we could at the time, but let's do a follow-up town hall where our chief communications officer and our head of HR go up and just do a town hall based on benefits. And we just covered that.
Okay.
And then that also gave us a time to make sure that we had more detail, because at the first one, some of the things were guesses, and we told them, we thought we'd be able to keep their health insurance in place because they have a slightly different market than we do. And by the time we were able to send everybody back, we could say, yes, we're going to run with two different health insurances, and here's why, and here's how it's going to work. So, but we're also able to answer a lot of questions on service and how we work and how things are going to be a little bit different than how they work now and how they're going to be similar.
And others is, are you going to build branches? Or are we going to continue to grow? And of course, that answer is yes. Along with them worrying about, are they going to have a job, is, we need you. I mean, we're planning to grow this market. We also met with the managers. They brought the branch managers in. Kevin, myself, and some others met with them. And it was good just for them to get FaceTime and talk to us and just get to know the Kevins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a bumper sticker I have on my car. But I want to ask, my second kind of follow-up to that is, during these meetings, hearing these questions and concerns from employees, did you come away with something you weren't expecting? Like, oh gosh, you know what? They're right. We really should drill down on, this kind of information. Did you learn anything that you weren't expecting?
I don't know if we got any questions that we didn't already anticipate. It was mostly the common questions. I don't know if either of you guys looking at Write and Doc have gotten questions that came out of the blue. Most of them were pretty predictable questions.
Okay.
I think it's less about what was asked and more a confirmation of what we assumed, meaning that they really did care about their members. Those were high level topics. They care about each other and making sure that they're going to be well taken care of. And they want to make sure that we'll continue on servicing their members. So that was, I'd say, the biggest thing is to see that the passion was there and that we weren't wrong with our initial thinking that it was going to be a good match.
Very good.
I would say the only other thing I can think of is in my early conversations with Daryl when it was just the two CEOs together, not once did he ever say, I want something for myself. He never brought up anything for himself. It was always about his members or his team members. So every time we had a discussion, he was very concerned about, let's make sure that these team members, particularly the ones that he's identified as stars, that they get slotted into a good place in the organization. Or let's make sure some of our community partners, they were very upfront about already introducing us to some of their high-level community partners. Let's make sure they're taken care of, or that our team members that interact with them have the support. And that's been really nice that everybody we've spoken to has always been interested in how do we take care of the other person.
Again, both of us being in education, they were very intrigued by our high school branch program. We have 11 high school branches completely run by students. And we actually, Kevin had the superintendent from up there come down and meet with the deputy superintendent at Orange County Public Schools, showed him the branch and all that. And again, we're already engaging in the community there and starting to move this thing forward.
Very good.
Right. Well, just listening to the three of you, you sound like pros on this merger process.
Mm-hmm.
So we were curious, have all of you had experience with other mergers before this one?
We have, but none of them were as large as this one. My
Okay.
understanding is this is the second largest merger in the state of Florida and the largest voluntary one. So the other ones we've done have been on a much smaller scale, and they were also more local. But this is definitely the largest one I think any of the three of us have done.
Okay. So it is sort of a new experience with just the size of it and the nature of it.
Well, my career, I worked for Fiserv, so I did data conversions for Fiserv. So I'm an
Mm-hmm.
old
Okay.
IT guy. So
Sure.
not so much sitting on the credit union side, it was more on the other side. But I've done very large conversions before, and it comes down to communication. Is just continue to communicate, over communicate, make sure the members understand what's going on, make sure the employees understand what's going on, and just keep communicating at them.
Well, and that kind of goes into our next question. I don't know, Michael, if you want to ask this with just the technology aspect. I know that's always a big project for credit union merger. But yeah, we were going to ask you, what are you facing just in terms of integrating with this conversion with Envision in its core system?
Together with this credit union, this will be our fourth merger. This will be the third credit union. We've done one bank prior. This will actually be the easiest conversion from a technology perspective. I say that because
Mm-hmm.
Envision has ownership in an IT QSO called United Solutions, and they're the ones who are actually running their core system. So in working with them, we're able to act more quickly to get deconversion files. We'll be able to do some customization between their group as well as our development group so that we can bring things in as clean and as easy as possible. Typically, that's your biggest headache,
Okay.
trying to identify those items. So we're actually in really good shape with that. The more difficult side of this is always the contract negotiation between the vendors.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get them all aligned. And honestly, Envision did a really good job based on how they positioned all of their contracts, knowing that they were going to start looking for merger partners. They kind of timed those contracts where there wasn't a lot that we were going to have to terminate real early.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that made it very, very simple. I can't stress how much easier this one has been than
That's
some of
good.
the others.
It sounds like I think you said the deadline.
May 31st is what we're looking at. And the primary reason why we picked May 31st is you're always trying to pick a weekend.
Yeah.
You can only be closed for so many days. So
Mhm.
it's always easier if you can do that conversion over a weekend. You're trying to do a month end because it makes it easier when you're trying to calculate dividends and everything else on the accounting side. We'd love it to be a quarter end to make it even easier, but I
Sure.
mean, you have to do what you can in order to do this. And so when you start looking through from a calendar perspective on which dates were viable for 2026, there's only so many of them. And
Yeah.
because we don't know exactly how long the legal merge process was going to take, you kind of had to pick one that was out a little bit. Would we have liked to have done February? Sure. Just didn't know if the legal merge portion would be done by then. So
Yeah.
we just didn't feel comfortable picking a February date. So May was kind of that compromise. We had looked at July as well, towards the end of
Mhm.
July, because that one worked as well. But May was the winner.
That gives our training team a little bit of extra time anyway to make sure that their team members are all fully up to date on our systems.
Yeah, and the other thing I was kind of thinking about while you were describing the timeline there, I would think the other Kevins hearing your confidence in the tech side of things and getting everything lined up is kind of a big relief. That's a huge, huge deadline to hit. And it sounds like everybody's pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah, very much. We rely on Kevin Wright and his expertise in this side of the field. As Doc said, he's got a background in it as well, but Wright's been leading this for 20 years for us almost. And,
Yeah.
we're very comfortable with his assessment of things.
He does a fantastic job, and we get better every time we do it. It's like any project. We go back and look at where we could have done better, and we get feedback. And
After action reports.
yeah, it's that constant improvement, but we just keep improving. It's not that we're not going to have issues, because conversions, there's always going to be something. There's always stuff that's out of your control,
Right.
but it's how you deal with it, how you communicate it. It's all that process.
Hey, man, when you're right, you're right. It's a last name
Right.
pun. So there you go.
He is
Well,
Mr.
just
Right.
to follow up on one final thing on that, I'm sure you mentioned communications. How much are you tying in the communication team with this? Because I'm sure there are things, you're communicating with the members about their online banking and the downtime and all that. That must be a big project as
Yeah, our
well.
marketing and
Yeah.
communication team is key to always having successful mergers. And it's no different than whether we're doing a online banking conversion, which this will include, or a core system conversion, or just even staff wise. They have triple duty, right? Because they're talking to our members and they're talking about not only, let me introduce you to Addition and what we bring to the table and how we think collectively when we're combined, how much better this is going to be, but it's also, and here's the systems that we're going to bring, and so these are the benefits that we're going to give you. We have to do the same with the staff members. We have to explain to them all of the things and explain to them how it's going to benefit them. And then we need to give them instructions, because when you're doing an online banking conversion, they're going to have to re-register. That's the thing that members interact with the most, and that's the thing that can make or break a credit union more so than even a core conversion.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's got all the touch points. And so this communication team is responsible for doing all of those things. And so they're really the ones who lead the success of this one way or the other.
But fortunately for us, about a year ago, we just moved to Lumen Digital, and we went through this. Kevin led us through this, and it was a really, really good conversion. I mean, our abandonment rate at the end of the week was back to normal, and that says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, by day 3, we had already had over 80,000 members registered. We felt like we were winning, and because that's fresh in everybody's minds,
Yeah.
even the lessons we learned from that, we're able to carry forward so that when we do this with Envision, we're in an even better place than we were when we did ours.
Would say a lot of credit goes to, we've got a very strong project management team, and
Yep.
Alicia Kalish, I'll shout out Anon Kevin. She runs our project management team, and she took us through the Lumen Digital, and she's taking us through this merger process as well, and making sure that everybody at both organizations throughout are getting all the same communication, all get the same notes, that nothing is being dropped. That's all on Alicia.
Yes, Alicia definitely gets all the credit because she deserves it.
I applaud non-Kevin Alicia. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's great. It's funny. This is giving me flashbacks to, gosh, I want to say it was over 10 years ago. I worked at a credit union, and I went in, and the first task was communications they were doing a small merger, one credit union. It was just one branch, I believe. That's just giving me some flashbacks. But yeah, fortunately at the time, even though I was new to it, we had a good team in place that had done it before and knew the drill. So it's a big job.
Good team makes all the difference.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We get through this with the team. I mean, we just help orchestrate, but the team is the one that does it and makes it happen. And unfortunately, members don't read communication. So, we've got the team up front has to be prepared for anything and everything coming at them.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's switch to a different topic here. I know you kind of touched a little bit on this earlier about the cultures. So you talked about how Envision's culture seemed to be a good fit for you all. But, just overall, you're bringing in a new team from another credit union. Even if there are similar cultures, I'm sure there had to be, some differences. So how are you kind of approaching that from an employee culture perspective? How are you making this process smooth of bringing in Envision's employees now onto Addition Financial's team, and what are kind of some best practices for ensuring a smooth transition there?
Sure. So I am all about culture. I always say culture trumps strategy every day. As the CEO, I own culture and strategy. Doherty's laughing because we spend so much time talking about culture.
Okay.
One of the things that we did at our organization, we use a survey. It's called the Denison Survey. It's kind of measures your culture, and it gives you very specific action items, if you read it right, as to what to take based upon how your scores of the culture. So we've been doing this for a number of years, and we had Envision go through so we could get the data on their culture and how to break it down, and not just at an organizational level, but by department, by branch, all of that. So we had something to work off of what are the similarities, what are the differences, what are the action items, and it told a very clear picture. We then took them through our next step, which is we do a very detailed talent assessment on our end. We work with an IO psychologist, and he also brings in a partner of his where she's a former HR exec at some very large organizations like, Blue Cross and I think General Motors. I can't remember where else she worked. And we had them take their entire team through that talent assessment where they're rating their talent based on how does each person contribute to the business goals of the organization.
Yeah.
It's a very detailed, time-consuming process, but we also threw in one of our HR leaders who's in charge of our training and talent into that process with them. So not only could she help them, but she could also bring back the notes to us as to how did it go, how did they assess, and by taking all of the data between the overall picture of the dentist and the story the employees are telling, and then the talent assessment of how their managers rate everybody, that gives us a good starting point as to the strengths and weaknesses of their organization, the strengths of their culture, and then also the similarities and differences. So that way we can action plan of, oh, here's some specific things that they have, here's some things that we have. And the reason we say they're similar is not that our cultures are the same, because as you pointed out, they're not,
Right.
but they're very similar to where we were maybe 10 years ago. So we kind of can take a look and say, what steps did we take over the last 10 years to advance? And it's not exactly the same story, but it's very similar. And it goes to that shared history. We see a lot of similarities, even if things aren't the same, and we'll build upon that going forward.
Interesting. Okay. So then what were some of the differences that you discovered through this research process in the cultures?
Yeah, some of the differences are just operationally, it comes down to we've built in some more flexibility into our jobs than they have. That leads to several differences. We also have been focusing over the last several years on accountability. A lot of people, nobody wants to lose their job, and we don't want to have anyone lose their job. But a lot of high performers don't like it if you're not dealing with the person next to them that's not a high performer. And it doesn't
Right.
always mean
Right.
terminating them. It means holding them accountable, explaining to them, having the candid conversation with them about how they can improve. And it seems like they're starting that process, but I don't think they're as far along as we are on the accountability. But they also have made some progress on those conversations, but not, I don't think, to the same extent that we have.
On the retail side, it's about coaching and development, making sure that we're coaching our teams. And back to the consistency thing is making sure we're consistent in our actions. As we grow with 37 branches, trying to keep that as consistent as we can, keep the service, the quality, all that. We're big on Google reviews. Our Google reviews here are over 4.5. We have an NPS around 72. So is keeping that momentum going is important.
We also just have some resources that they didn't have access to because of the difference in the sizes of the organization that we can put in place to help them get to that next level.
Can I ask, this is kind of a simple, but I think an important question. What have been the biggest challenges or snags you guys have seen so far during the process?
I'll jump in first. I know I can see Kevin Wright still debating about that. I would say as good of a job as they did on preparing their organization from the laying the groundwork, having their internal communications, getting their contracts. There's always a few contracts that pop up that we were not expecting because they forgot that they were there, or some that they had signed more recently that had longer termination dates. That's an expected pain, but it's still a pain.
Yeah.
And then a few of the things around one or two of the vendors that they have that we don't have, where maybe those vendors just don't want to talk to us because they know at the end of the day we're going to pick our vendor over them. So they're not necessarily making the progress to get to the end dates as quick as we would like.
Interesting.
Say one of the things is when you're smaller, you have to wear more hats. And so some of their staff have to wear a lot of hats, and just having them think about what aspects of their job they actually like the most so that we can place them in the right role moving forward. That has been an interesting challenge for some of them. And there's a lot of unsurety, and we understand that too. So, we're sure that there'll be some changes once we come together and people start operating that way.
And we've told them that there will be changes. We're doing the best of what we know, but once this happens, there's going to be change, and we just need to be flexible with them because we want these teammates to succeed.
And then I would say the last thing is fear of the unknown, right? Where we are from Orlando, they are from North Florida. Just that idea of, will they get us? That's something that we've been kind of dealing with from the very beginning, because we've had to explain to them that we're not really from Florida. Most of us are not actually from native Florida. So we're from all over. But it's been a very positive experience so far.
Right. And another, legit question from them could be, do we have to change our name to Kevin to work for you all?
It is a fair question, because I will tell you, I've got the two Kevins working for me, and up until a couple years ago, each one of them had two Kevins working directly for them. So, it is a thing, but, as we've brought down the number of Kevins, that's
new employee.
Some of that fear.
But we leave that open, though. I mean, if you want to become a Kevin, we're fine with that.
Right. And if you want to be a CEO on the I-4 corridor, you're supposed to be a Kevin.
Right.
Kevin Johnson, Kevin Jones.
Yeah. New employee question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, is this a merger or a cult? I can't tell.
we have Kool-Aid.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Grape, please.
That's so funny.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I would say thanks for being transparent about that. I think some people are just afraid of change, I'm sure, or unsure of the unknown and all that, but hopefully it'll be a learning experience for all of them.
At our organization, over the last 8 years or 9 years, we've talked constantly about the fact that we have to embrace change. And you're right, not every organization is up for that. Our team knows that we have no sacred cows. There's nothing that we're not going to change. If we come up with a better way to do something, even if we just changed it last year, we'll change it again. So it's a different mindset, getting comfortable with constant change. And you're right, a lot of people are not there yet. So that's one thing that we'll have to get them used to, is the fact that we are constantly looking for ways to change.
Because as we change, we improve stuff, we improve service, we improve systems, we continue to improve. Because if you're not growing and improving, you become irrelevant. And what happens when you become irrelevant?
Yeah, I mean, that's a theme I think I've been following for quite a few years now, especially through the pandemic and all of that. So you've seen some people come out strong and then others may not make it. So yeah, absolutely agree. Now, one more quick question, just before we move on to part 2 of this. I know you talked about, expanding into going into Southern Georgia. That's obviously a significant part of the merger. What other benefits can you guys talk about that you'll see, like once this is all complete, the merger is completely done? First, what will be different for your members overall? Like what will be different for their experience? And then also for the employee side, what do you see them maybe, having a better experience with in their just day-to-day life or careers after this merger?
So whenever we look at things, we always evaluate members, team members, community members. So for the members, they're going to have, we'll start with their membership will have access to more products and services, higher technology than they've had before. And we believe we've got some advantages that we've developed over the last several years as far as our flexible system and how we do things that we'll be able to bring out there, our culture as it gets integrated throughout the organization. For our membership, there are things that Envision does better than we do. They were one of the first credit unions in the state and one of the first in the country to adopt ITMs. Other people have it, others have it now, but they've been doing it so long. They've built out a really good system. They're very comfortable with that technology. And there's a few other things that we can point to very specifically, but also they've got some superstars on their team that we're layering in within our organization that we think will help make a difference for our membership as well. For the team members, as we're a bigger organization, then obviously it's a growing pyramid. And so there's more opportunities to advance. There's more opportunities to try something different. And for both sets of team members, we've told them that, you can work in Tallahassee or Orlando, wherever, either side works, and just gives you another option. And for the community members, we're planning on bringing some of the things that we do, as Kevin Doherty mentioned, the high school branches or the support of some healthcare or manufacturing that we've done for years up into their market. And then we'll take some of the deep community ties where they've done some unique thing. For their 70th anniversary, they did 70 cruises for 70 teachers. And, they come up with some unique ideas that we'll look to bring down into our market.
I think, again, to Kevin's point, at least I'm looking from the retail side, is, my team's always looking for growth. Where's the growth? Where can I grow in the company? I just met this week with all our head tellers, and that was a topic of conversation. And I said, as we grow, this merger is going to create opportunity. As we continue to grow branches, we want to promote within, move people up through the company into leadership. It makes it a smooth transition. They understand who we are. They get the picture. They get the culture. And it really does make things easier, at least from the retail side. I'm looking at it makes an easy transition for me.
All right. Well, we look forward to the updated news on all this, and wish you the best of luck. Hope it goes well.
I'm excited for y'all.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. We're very excited about this. We think this is really a huge opportunity.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Kevins, let's move on to the second part of our interview. This is going to be all about you three. And again, this is going to be a new experience for all of us. We've never done it with three at the same time here. So yeah, are you guys ready? I got a few fun questions for you.
Sure.
Okay, so let's have a little fun with this whole Kevin theme. I have a question that on each of you to answer, so you can just kind of take turns answering. Out of these three fictional Kevins, which one would you say you are most like and why? The first one is Kevin McAllister from Home Alone and Home Alone 2, little Macaulay Culkin. Kevin Arnold, which is from The Wonder Years, so that was the Fred Savage character. And then the third one, Kevin Malone from The Office. So first, Miller, which one would you pick?
I guess I'll go with Kevin Arnold from The Wonder Years is probably the one. And
sure.
These guys are both nodding their heads yes. So
Okay, why?
We were guessing at lunch who he'd pick, and that's who we went with.
Okay. What's your reason?
Well, you guys can answer for me on that one.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah.
He's very thoughtful. He really likes to really consider things before he answers. There's a lot of internal struggle that's going on there, and that's what I remember from The Wonder Years.
Yeah, very methodical. Very methodical.
Sure. Okay. Okay. All right. Right. Which one would you pick?
I'm ashamed to say I've never seen The Office, so I really can't relate to
That's
that
okay.
one at all.
I actually haven't either. So
I've seen it a lot, and he's nothing like you.
So I would say Home Alone, because he was inventing traps and doing different things, and that's the kind of things that I like to tinker with.
Building crazy
and
contraptions works with you.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to go that way with me too. I've never watched The Office, so I can't tell if I am. But yeah, I would go with Home Alone, just tinkering and
he was very
causing
very
havoc.
clever.
I love causing havoc. So
we like to drop bombs.
There you go.
Well, you know what? You got to have fun. At the end of the day, we spend a lot of time together, and you got to have fun with your teams.
Sure.
You got to show humility, but you got to have fun.
There's nothing more fun than setting booby traps for your friends, like a really hot doorknob or whatever else he did. I forget. Okay, here's another question for all three. So we were looking up famous trios in movies, and we were trying to kind of figure out what of these three trios embodies the three of you the most. So there's Lucky, Ned, and Dusty. That's Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, Martin Short from The Three Amigos, 1986. There is Luke, Leia, Han Solo from Star Wars. Then there's Ferris, Cameron, and Sloane from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Is there a pairing of those that you all
Ferris
kind of...
I think it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay.
If not, Larry, Daryl, and Daryl.
Yes,
Larry, Daryl, and Daryl from Newhart. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Why Ferris Bueller then?
I just think the personalities on that are fun, and you always got the leader, but I think that fits.
Wait. So now I have to ask, who is Sloane of the three of you then? He's the one who's sick all the time and depressed, and
no, Sloane was the girl.
Sloane's the girl.
I'm sorry, Cameron.
Cameron.
I'm very sorry. I got messed up. Who's Cameron?
Yes,
that's why it doesn't really fit for us.
That's why I'll go with Larry, Daryl, and Daryl.
Okay, Larry, Daryl. Great answer.
Any other comparisons that weren't in our list that you ever think like that the three of you are similar to, or that anyone says you're
I
similar
mean, I
to?
will say sometimes when we negotiate with vendors, we'll have a conversation of who's going to be the good Kevin, who's the bad Kevin, and
Okay.
who's advancing things.
Right.
And then if we need to bring the hammer down, we'll bring in Ching, our CFO.
CFO,
So
right.
Oh, fantastic. So I would suggest good Kevin, bad Kevin, stoner Kevin could be the third personality you bring into it.
we'll have to
I'm kidding.
consider that one.
Yeah, I'm joking. Okay.
All right, moving on. So, since Doc is our only first time guest out of the three of you, we've had Miller and Wright on each individually before, and we have some standard questions. So, we always ask our guests here at the end of the show. Doc, this is going to be just for you. When you were young, growing up, what was the first album you ever bought or remember listening to all the time?
And I had to think about that, and
Mhm.
it was Elton John, Captain Fantastic.
Oh,
And I love the album. The album cover was just real. I liked Elton John at the time, and I loved the album cover. The album cover was awesome.
100% agree with you. It was very memorable as a
Yes,
kid.
yes, and it had Philadelphia Freedom on it.
Yeah.
Had Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Mhm.
Someone Saved My Life Tonight. So it had some classic Elton John on. I mean, showing my age a little bit, but it had some
That's fine.
classic Elton John on it.
I got to say, you were the very first to bring up that album. So that's wonderful.
Is there an average, or is there one that's
What's the most common?
What's the most common?
I don't think there's a most common, because what we do, we compile everybody's answers into a Spotify playlist at the end of the year.
Oh, nice.
And I'll send it to you guys when it's done.
Yeah, that'd be.
It's
But
really
we did
fun,
this
yeah.
last year, and I can't think. Natasha, is there?
I can't even think if there was a album that came up more than once.
There's a
Is
common
there,
movie.
how about a singer? Is there a common
There have been-
singer?
I'm going to have to look back in the spreadsheet on that one. That's a really good question, but nothing stands out. I mean, people say Kiss and John Denver, it just goes in
AC/DC.
all directions.
Yeah, and it depends on the age, People are all coming from different generations too.
Yeah, Ace
So,
of
yeah, it
Base, whatever.
Yeah, we got 90s people.
Yeah, well, you won't get country out of Kevin, so Kevin Wright. So
Okay.
it's just and I put country on in the car just to annoy him sometimes.
Yeah.
When we go to lunch, I'm throw a little Morgan Wallen on or something like that, and he's like, "What's this whiny stuff you're putting
Sure.
on?"
Kevin Wright and Kevin Miller were from Detroit, so we're more Motown people. We know
Very
not to
good.
get
Ah,
country thing.
nice.
I will say country is probably the least mentioned genre of a first album, because I think
It's
kids
interesting.
are drawn to pop.
I wasn't into country. My son got me listening to country. I have an
Oh.
18-year-old,
Okay.
and he veered that way. So in the car, he had it on. I'm like, okay, some of it isn't too bad. Some of it is a little, the older stuff, but some of the newer stuff isn't bad. We were talking about Jelly Roll today in the car on the way back from
Lord.
lunch, and I think it was 50-50 who was
Sure.
Jelly Roll,
Sure.
because we were talking about what show were we talking about?
Jelly
With
Roll.
Sylvester Stallone.
Tulsa Kings.
We were talking about Tulsa Kings, and
Oh,
Jelly
sure.
Roll played a role on it.
Yeah.
And he came in and sung one of his songs, and of course Stallone comes out and says, "You should sing for a living."
Oh, God. Okay. Well, I'm going to look up that spreadsheet from last year, and I'm going to have to get back to you on if there is a most popular. Now, I will say, so this is our last question right here, and we're going to ask all Kevins this. We ask everybody this. What was the last movie you watched? Now, I will say last year, the most popular answer was Oppenheimer. It was like
Yep.
7 or 9 of them or something. But what was the last movie you watched? Let's start with Doc.
It's funny. I'm not a big movie goer.
Okay.
We do family shows.
Sure.
So like we went through Reacher. My son loves Reacher. So
Just
we
finished
watched
it last
that.
night. Yeah.
Fantastic. My son and I had to watch Emily in Paris with my wife. My wife does get a call in there, so we had to sit through that. And I'm watching the new Mob one. We watched 1923, which was
Yeah, sure.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That just ended, and then I'm watching the Mob Hood, or the new one on Paramount. So we just like to do family. We call it family night. We do
Sure.
popcorn, and we
Sounds
just
great.
turn it on, and it's quality time for the family to get together.
Okay, right.
I'm the same as Doherty right now in that
That's fine.
I primarily have been watching series, so I also just finished Reacher,
Okay.
and I think literally the last show I watched was Wheel in Time episode that that just got renewed. So
What did you think of this season of Reacher compared to the others?
I mean, I thought it was good, but I think the first season was still still the best. It was
Totally agree with you.
rawest, and it just made sense. And
It was great though. The end. I said to her, he didn't watch. I said you'll like the end because Kevin drives motorcycles. So him leaving on the Harley was a nice ending. I said you'll like the ending of it. So
Yeah. And his shirt was off a lot more in this season than the first one, I think. I don't know.
yeah.
well, and they also had a character who was bigger this season.
Oh, God. That
normally
guy was
he's
a
always the
monster.
I mean, the other one is Landman. I don't know. Did you watch Landman? Landman was good, but like I agree with Wright. Is after the first, the second one kind of they start to wean it out. So
Okay.
I'm kind of glad with 1923 they just ended it and
Sure.
it's done and move on.
That was with Harrison Ford, right?
Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren. Yeah.
And she's in Mobland. She's in Mobland with Pierce Brosnan.
You're right.
She plays an incredible role.
I will watch that. It's on my list, and I love her so much. I think she's wonderful.
Amazing.
I do have to ask Kevin Miller, final answer to you.
Yeah, I'm probably even less of a TV and movie guy than these guys. I'm usually more of a book guy, but
Okay.
the last one I can think about is my older daughter wanted to break out one of her all-time favorites, so we watched Monty Python's Holy Grail a little while ago, and that's just one of her favorites. So,
How old's your daughter?
she is 16.
Bravo to your daughter. What do you think of it? Does it still hold up?
Oh yeah, it's still always entertaining. It's a great sense of humor. I'm glad she's adopted the weird sense of humor that I have, at least to some extent.
Wonderful. Okay.
She does make fun of me a lot, so her sarcasm comes out quite a bit.
Hey, man, she's your daughter. She should. So.
Yeah. Well, I asked her mistakenly, I guess, a question not too long ago. It was if she emailed something to some of her friends, and she goes, "Dad, this is not the 1800s. We don't email people."
Exactly.
Okay, so I do remember the last movie. It was The Gorge.
Oh, what did you think of The Gorge?
I actually thought it was pretty good. The premise was interesting with two different divides with the gorge in between and how they ended up going down. The characters were pretty good. Similar to a Maze Runner kind, which makes sense based off of the lead character.
Yeah, the plot is, what if two really hot people stood guard at a tower?
Yes.
and then went down into a pit.
Just so happened to have a gun that would shoot a rope across so that they could climb across and meet each other.
It was a silly movie. But,
I've not seen it.
It's a silly one. Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to put that on the list.
Awesome. Okay. And so, guys, let me just loop back really quick before we go to this music conversation, because our producer, Zach, has been doing some on-the-fly research and messaging me as you all were talking about movies and TV. There were 3 artists that have now been mentioned twice as a first album. Their album was the first one they ever bought. So it's Elton John. So there was another guest that said his first album was Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Good album.
Yeah, and then the 2 other artists that have been each mentioned twice, Kiss, like Michael said, and then Metallica. So those are the 3 that tied. None have ever been mentioned 3 times though, no triples. So I guess
shout out to producer Zach for a quick response there.
Yeah,
thank you. It's quite the variety too. I mean,
yeah.
I will send all of you last year's Spotify playlist just so you can see
that'd be cool.
What everybody was said. So awesome. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Well, let's go and wrap this up. So Kevin Miller, Kevin Doherty, and Kevin Wright, the 3 Kevins of the Addition Financial Credit Union C-Suite, also known as Miller, Dock, and Wright. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. This was a lot of fun.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having us. It was a good time.
Thank you for having us. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. And to all of our listeners, thank you for downloading today's show. Please subscribe to Shared Accounts with CU Times and all the normal podcast places. And please share the episodes with anyone you know, coworkers, friends, relatives. Just go ahead and get it out there. We would love that.
Share it with other Kevins in your life.
Oh, yeah.
Feel free to rate us 5 stars only, by the way. As always, a big thank you to our producer, Zach Nyheisel. Thanks, Zach. Join us again next week for a new episode of Shared Accounts with CU Times. Until then, thanks for listening.